So we'll let everyone come in and we will be started. This event is recorded because a lot of participants couldn't join as it's during daytime, but we will be sending the recording to people who could not join. Hi, Liliana from Virginia. Nice to see you. We are so excited. I'll wait just one more minute and then we'll get started. So I will be looking at the question. The way we are going to structure the class is that, Jolene, you're going to tell us all your tips, advice for having a glowing skin through the food, actually. Mm-hmm. I will be looking at the question while you speak. If I see any question that are in line with what you're talking, I might interrupt you and ask you the question. If not, we will stay at the end of the class to take all your questions. We'll keep some time for some Q&A, so you can ask all your questions to Jolene regarding food. I hope you can... Oh, please do not forget to be on mute. That's all we ask you. And if you have a question, just add it in the chat. So I'm Dr. Elsa Jungman, the founder of Dr. Elsa Jungman, and our mission is really to help everyone have a healthy skin, especially through the microbiome. And we have actually a special class on the skin microbiome tomorrow. But I've learned as a skin scientist how important it is to have a holistic approach to skin health, that there are many different touch points that can affect your skin way beyond the skincare. And I believe, Jolene, with what you're doing regarding food, it's extremely interesting. And yeah. So hi, Alexia, Cecilia from Pennsylvania. Great to see you. Oh, Brazil. Hi, Hannah. Nice to meet you. So I think we'll get started, and I will be looking at your question in the chat. And yeah, so let's get starting. So as I was saying, what we've been seeing, you know, unfortunately, is that we now understand that our skin is a very important barrier for our body. So the healthier our skin is, the best our body is protected, and it's something that is extremely important. But what we tend to forget is that actually there are many different touch points that can affect our skin health way beyond the skincare or product we use in our everyday life. It can also be climate and pollution, and unfortunately, we are going to see it now as we are going through the winter. As women, it can also be through hormonal changes, and we see it a lot, you know, during pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause. Our skin changes a lot based on our hormones, or even for our cycles when we like ovulate or when we're in the menstruation period. It can really affect our skin. And for some people, it's time when your skin breaks out more. And that's very frustrating because you feel really helpless when that happens. Mental health is extremely important. It's actually one of the key factors that can cause skin issues, especially if you tend to break out or have eczema. If you're under a very stressful period like now in a pandemic with the holiday coming, stress at work, in your everyday life, it's causing damage to your skin. And of course, at least, but not last, the food and the gut health that we understand now how important of an impact it can have on your skin. And that's what we will be discussing today. And so as I was saying, I'm Dr. Elsa Jungman. I'm a skin scientist. I'm originally French, as you can hear from my accent. I was born and raised in Paris, and I moved to San Francisco with my husband about 6 years ago. I actually recently became a mom, and my skin changed a lot through my pregnancy. And now that I'm in postpartum, I have a 8-month-old baby, Joachim. And I'm very obsessed about skin, and especially reactive skin, because I've been suffering a lot from sensitive skin following a toxic shock syndrome I had at 18. It's a bacterial infection, and it made my skin very dry, reactive. I also developed rosacea. So all my life, I've been obsessed with very gentle products for the skin. And since I discovered the skin microbiome, I've been obsessed with it. And I think it's really the key to unlock our skin health today. And that's why we developed a line of product that is very gentle to your skin microbiome, and more recently, a skin test. I used to work at L'Oreal in research, and then with a lot of small businesses in beauty and biotech, where I've really been into the skin microbiome. And quickly about the company, what we focus on is on microbiome-friendly products, meaning products that are super gentle to your skin microbiome. We were the first line actually to get that certification, and we formulate everything in a very minimal way with less than 5 ingredients. And very recently, we actually introduced our skin microbiome test with a simple skin swab. You can actually discover all about the bacteria that live on your skin, your microbiome, and also get personalized recommendation. And in my journey as a scientist and now a mother, I realized, how much all the different factors can impact our skin, especially food. And I was actually shopping many years ago at Anthropology, and I saw a book about eating pretty for your skin, and I was very interested in it. And I thought, well, first, it's a very pretty book, and the content seemed also very interesting. So I bought one for me, and I gifted one to a friend, and I was like, this is fascinating, everything I'm reading. And it happened to be you, Jolene Hart. So welcome. We are so happy to have you today to lead this masterclass on how to eat for a glowing skin. Yes. You're a former magazine editor, and you become a health coach, and you've been writing multiple books from It's Pretty to now Ignite Your Light with a more even mindfulness approach that is so important for our overall health. So I would love to hear about your story and then get right into the subject of how we can get a better skin through our everyday food.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love hearing how you found the book. It's just been such a pleasure to collaborate with Elsa so far. For the past few months, we've worked together on the nutritional recommendations for her skin microbiome kit. And from the first time that we connected, I just felt so much synergy in our approaches, because what we each do in our areas of specialty complement each other so well. Like you said, nutrition enhances the gut, and the microbiome of the skin is not only internal, but it's topical. And I myself have been using Elsa's products since early summer, and her minimalist approach is one that is now close to my heart. I love it, and I recommend it. And it's kind of ironic that I got to this place where I love a minimalist approach to skin, because I did come from a beauty editor background, and being a beauty editor was my dream job in my 20s. But during that decade of my life, from my late teens until my late 20s, I suffered with cystic acne, with chronic eczema over my limbs, my legs and arms. And when I got my dream job as a beauty editor, it was an InStyle magazine, I thought, this is going to be what will help me solve my skin issues. Because as an editor, you have access to celebrity dermatologists. I could go see Madonna's facialist if I wanted. I could call up any skincare company, any company, and say, send me this product or that product. And I definitely did those things. And I kept finding that I got really good at covering up what was happening in my skin, but nobody could point me toward a cure. And to know a little bit more about me, I grew up with a mom who was a nurse. She started a health food co-op when I was a little girl in the 80s. And she always taught me that food was medicine. So when I went to those dermatologists and facialists and started asking, but is there anything that I can do with my diet to maybe support what we're doing? These treatments, these prescriptions you're giving me, what can I do inside? And over again, I was told, no, there's nothing, that doesn't matter. Don't go down that path. And, as women, we have this intuition, right? And it kept coming back to trust your gut, that there is something going on, and what's happening on the surface of your skin is a sign from your body that something's out of balance. And I just knew that. And it took me several years to kind of get up the confidence to trust that intuition and to follow it. So to leave my job as a beauty editor, I ended up becoming certified as a health coach, and I dove into the niche of beauty nutrition from the standpoint of a journalist. So I was able to interview experts in genomics and dermatology, in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, every angle of natural health and wellness that I could find, to ask, what do you know about the connection between skin and a healthy body and nutrition. What can you tell me in your niche of what you study, how I can bring this together and kind of share this with women? Because that's what I did as a beauty editor, was share products, but they weren't really what was solving the issue. So over the course of about a year, I self-experimented and really saw a massive shift in my own skin. And really, it's using everything that I'm going to share today. And from there, I knew I wanted to be a health coach, and that was over 10 years ago. So I wrote my first book, Eat Pretty, about 8 years ago, about nutrition and beauty, and that became a 3-book series. And then my most recent books, Ignite Your Light and Shine On, are more about an even higher level of consciousness. So using mindfulness to connect to your personal energy and how that actually affects your beauty, your immune system, your resilience in life. So much of what I've experienced personally, because I do have a chronic illness, and I found that really affected my personal confidence in my skin and my body as well. But today we're very much going to focus on nutrition. So shall I put up my slides?
Yes, I'm going to stop sharing, and the floor is yours now.
Wonderful. All right, let me get.
Oh, and we shared also the link to all the books you've been writing, from Eat Pretty to the one on mindfulness, in the chat.
Yeah, oh, thank you so much. How do the slides look? Can you see them?
Perfect.
Wonderful. All right, so I already dove right into the first one. So healthy skin, you had your beautiful circle in your slides about everything that affects your microbiome, and I have mine too. So healthy skin, as I've learned, is so much more than one area. It's a whole circle of your life. So what we're going to talk about today are the first 3. We're going to talk about nutrition, which is what you're eating. What are those building blocks? What are you giving your body to use as tools to nourish your skin? Blood sugar, which back in that earlier period of my life, I was mostly vegetarian, and I did not know anything about how to control my blood sugar, and have since found out that it's really a root cause of so many skin issues, as well as hormonal dysfunction. So blood sugar is not only what you're eating, but the context in which you're eating it. So how do you pair your meals together? What combinations are you eating, and how is that affecting the glucose spike that happens in your body after you eat? Then there's gut health. So we're going to talk about this too. And this is how you are breaking down and assimilating that wonderful food that you're putting into your mouth. So it's not just getting it in there. What happens on the other side? How does your body receive it? And that's equally important when it comes to nutrition. And then the other 3, which maybe we'll do later on in a session, or you can check out my website for more video classes on these topics, are hormonal balance. And this is, again, your hormonal levels relative to your age and stage of life. Your mindset, which is your personal energy and beliefs, have a massive impact on your immune system, your neurotransmitters, the way your body reacts to certain situations. And then your lifestyle. So what is your self-care? How is your stress resilience? How is your sleep? Good sleep is better than the most expensive eye cream that you can buy. So all these things are so important when it comes to healthy skin. Today, the first 3 pillars, if you want to call them that, nutrition, blood sugar, and gut health, are what we're going to focus on. So core number 1, skin nutrition. When I was training as a health coach, something that was, kind of my aha moment was the realization that the food that you eat breaks down to become your body molecule by molecule. It's not just that your body is kind of extracting particular compounds here and there. That food is actually becoming you on a molecular level. And that was really just a huge aha moment for me when I realized how important it was to prioritize the quality of what I was putting in my body. If I wanted to see good results on the outside, I had to make sure that I was putting in top quality fuel. Looking and feeling your best means choosing that quality fuel. I really, really believe that food is your greatest tool for lifelong beauty and health. Coming from a place where I worked with so many products, so many treatments, and food was not mentioned at all, I feel like we were missing the big picture that food has so much potential to change the way your body operates, because it really is one of those key tools that gives you the building blocks to create the way you want to look. And this approach, I think, really gives us permission to love our bodies with food. And I find so many women, especially young women, myself included, have complicated relationships with food because we get so much messaging about, oh, you shouldn't eat that, or you feel shamed about eating something, or your choices are questioned. But rather than see food as a saboteur that we have to struggle with or limit or count portion sizes or calories, flipping that around and realizing we can celebrate food. I love food. I love to eat. I love to cook. And I didn't really get to embrace that until I accepted kind of this approach to realize that food was really one of my greatest tools to help nourish myself and to help me feel and look the way I wanted. So the way I see it, food can either, you have a choice. The food you choose can age you prematurely, can speed up that aging process. It can cause extra stress on your body. It can exhaust you with blood sugar highs and lows. So many of us are on that blood sugar roller coaster each day. It can work against you achieving your healthiest skin and your healthiest weight. And it can promote disease and inflammation, right? We can find foods that will tick all of these boxes, but we can also find foods that will calm your body, that will lift your mood. Think of the wonderful aromatherapy of so many of the foods that we can, chop and cook. It can energize you to perform at your best, to have that mental focus, it can reverse aging by actually repairing damage in the body. So when I first started researching foods like watercress that have been shown to repair DNA damage, that was mind-blowing for me, because we weren't talking about that when we're looking at what skin products can do topically to reverse damage. We're not talking about all this wear and tear that's happening inside our body with things like the telomeres on our chromosomes, and how we can actually lengthen those with some of the food choices that we make. Food can prevent disease, and food can support your lifelong well-being. So you look at this list and you tell me that there isn't more potential here than there is in, a bottle of skin cream that's been heavily promoted to do amazing things on the surface. There's so much here, and they both have a place in our lifestyles. I love beauty products. They give me an energy shift. They bring me so much joy. They're part of my self-care routine, but we have to also acknowledge that nutrition is so powerful here. So what types of foods best support your beauty? I have to say, I am one of those people that doesn't rule out or put anything off limits in your diet. When someone works with me as a health coach, I will never say you cannot eat this, because of course that's what you're going to want to, you're going to start craving all the foods that are off limits. So nothing is off limits, but this is kind of going to be a guide to what you should be looking for when you're filling your plate. And this is whether you're cooking at home, whether you're ordering off of a menu, maybe you're at a restaurant buffet and you're choosing, or at a party. Just keep these qualities in mind when you're choosing your food. And also, no single nutritional approach works for everyone, but these are going to be the keys. And the acronym that I use is CRAFTS, C-R-A-F-T-S. So C is for colorful, and not just because your plate is beautiful. You always hear eat a rainbow, but those colors represent particular phytochemical benefits in the foods that you're eating. So for example, the red and orange foods are wonderful at UV protection. They're great at helping to repair damage. Green foods are wonderful for detoxification in the body. The purple and blue foods are wonderful at skin elasticity. They're super high in antioxidant. And you can kind of go from there. Just look at the rainbow of colors and know that each of those colors is representing something extra, something special, a special quality that it's delivering to your body when you consume it. R is for rich in nutrients. And I always say that you don't need to count calories when you are eating, because you're making every calorie count when you eat like this, when you eat food that is fresh and whole. And what I mean by that is, say you were to eat a whole bell pepper. You've got 600% of your vitamin C in that bell pepper, whereas your goal maybe otherwise would be just to get to your 100% for the day. You can eat one vegetable, 1 cup of kale, and get 250% of your vitamin A. These foods are so nutrient dense that you don't have to worry about, oh, did I meet my requirements for this and that? These foods are loaded, they're overloaded, so that you actually overshoot your needs. And when you're doing that, you're delivering so many building blocks for your body, so many antioxidants with which to neutralize some of the aging damage that's happening day to day. So just choose foods for their nutrient density and don't worry about having a 100-calorie pack of this food or that food. Go for what is going to deliver the most nutrients to your body. A is for anti-inflammatory. So inflammation we hear about as a precursor to a lot of different disease states in the body, but it's actually involved in the process for so many of the big beauty concerns that we have. So things like blemishes, premature wrinkling, redness and sensitivity on the skin, even unwanted weight gain. Inflammation is a factor in all of those. So if you can know to include anti-inflammatory foods in your diet, and this basically is the fresh, whole, colorful food category, but also superfoods like ginger and turmeric. A lot of those herbs and spices that are out there are such strong anti-inflammatories that they even rival the action of over-the-counter drugs. So getting more of these foods in your diet is going to be wonderful for reducing the inflammation in your body, and that really interrupts a lot of the beauty concerns that we kind of have out there that we're worried about most. F is for fresh, and this one maybe seems obvious, but if you stop to think about it, a lot of the products that we shop in the grocery store are packaged, designed, stored so that they will last months, weeks to months on the shelves. And they'll last even when you get them home. And this includes foods like apples and carrots and root vegetables that are stored sometimes in a warehouse for weeks before they even get to your grocery store. And you have to think that after they are picked or picked off a tree or plucked from the ground, they start to lose nutrition. So if they've been sitting around for a few weeks before they even get to your store, and then they sit around for a few weeks in your refrigerator, and then you cook them, think how much of that nutrition has been lost along the way. So you can prioritize what's fresh. And this means looking and leaning into what is around in your part of the world, what is around in the season that you're in right now, what's closest to you, what's accessible to you, what can you grow in your backyard and pick and use for dinner. That's how you get the freshest and the peak benefits of the food that you're eating. And that's where you really deliver those beauty benefits. T is for tailored. And this means that, your ideal, beautiful, beautifying plate, your Eat Pretty plate is going to be different than that of your best friend and maybe your sister and your coworker. You really have to strengthen that skill of inner listening and start kind of reflecting on how your body reacts to certain foods. And this can certainly change in different decades of your life, different stages of your life. You may find as you start to do things like nourish your gut, the way you respond to certain foods could change. But definitely listen and watch your skin, watch the way you digest, watch how you feel after eating something to really figure out what those best foods are for you. And finally, S is for seasonal, and this might be my favorite. This is the core of all the Eat Pretty books, is talking about season to season, the shifts that we can make in our diet and our lifestyle to really keep our bodies in balance. And not all of us experience all of the seasons where we live in the world. So you kind of reflect on what shifts that you do experience, where you can find ways to connect to whether it's the time of day or the time of year, or the time of the month, to keep your body in balance. And I think there's so much wisdom there. Now, what else supports your healthiest skin? Like I said, I don't like to cut out a lot of things, but I think it's really important and really empowering to learn a little bit about what certain foods do to your skin. So things like sugar, some of those more processed fats when they're cooked or heated, grilled or charred foods that speed up the wrinkling process in the skin, even conventional meats and dairy, sometimes gluten, which can be inflammatory, even things like caffeine, soda, or BPA-lined cans. All of those are on my list of what I call beauty betrayers. And it's not like they're completely off limits to you. We're going to sometimes be exposed to them, or sometimes going to eat them and enjoy them, but each of them has something that they do that is not going to be supportive of your skin health. So if you want to look more into that, you can read the beauty betrayers list in Eat Pretty. But basically, a lot of them are inflammatory and do speed up the signs of aging. So it's just good to be wise and informed about what you're putting in your body and the choices you're making. It sometimes helps you to choose and prioritize certain foods when you really do know what's happening in your body after you eat them.
And Jolene, if we feel we may be sensitive to certain type of food, like what are the signals and how can we figure out what can be causing the issue, if it's coming from food or not?
Well, that's a really good question. So you can see, sensitivity in a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's not immediate. So you might find that you see, a rash that pops up. You might find that you get a little itchy. Maybe you find that you're a little bloated, or you have indigestion. Maybe you have some brain fog, and that could happen even later that day or the next day. Some of the most immediate symptoms that you'll notice are usually digestive.
Okay.
And then others might be in your skin, and those tend to be more persistent. So if you're seeing skin issues for weeks and months at a time and you haven't figured out the root cause, you can look at some of the foods that you might be sensitive to. And that's my next bullet point on this slide. If you are experiencing an issue like that, that's persistent, that maybe is bringing up the question, do I need some deeper healing here? Do I need to work on what's happening in my gut? It can help to shift your diet additionally for a time. You could try going grain-free, sugar-free, and or dairy-free, and all three of those can reduce inflammation significantly, and that just kind of helps your body to heal and reset your digestion. And so you don't have to do this permanently. You can reintroduce those foods again and maybe eat them to a lesser amount. But if you are finding that you're significantly sensitive and that you do have reactions, it does help to take out that inflammation for a little while to help your body to reset. So essential skin foods, what are some of the top categories? These are just, again, in general, and if you want to take a detailed dive into different foods, Eat Pretty is a great source. You'll find plenty of other resources online. I have a class called Eat Pretty with Less Time that's all about how to choose foods and how to shop and prepare foods, but these are my top categories. So healthy fats, for sure, we need for beautiful skin. Healthy fats are the building blocks of our hormones. And so when we're not eating enough of them, our body doesn't actually have the resources to keep our hormones in balance and produce what we need. We also really need healthy fats for stable blood sugar. And we'll talk about that on point number 2, all about blood sugar, but they're a big part of making sure that we digest and burn slowly and have enough sustained energy over the day. And they're also key for strong cell membranes that lock in skin moisture. So Elsa was mentioning that winter is coming. And so eating more of those healthy fats, kind of boosting your intake during the winter, can be one way that you offset the dryness that a lot of us experience going from really cold outside to hot and dry inside. It helps to retain a little bit more of that moisture when we have those healthy fats in our diet. Good quality protein is it's a building block of healthy skin. It's a building block of your hair, your nails. We need healthy protein. And, women are often very confused about protein, whether they're having too much or if they should be having more. Having about 15 grams at each meal is a good idea, spreading it out throughout the day so you digest it well. It's another key for that steady blood sugar, for giving you, steady energy throughout the day. And also for your healthiest weight, for you keeping yourself satisfied and not having so many cravings. And this can be protein that adheres to whatever diet you follow. So if you are eating animal proteins, things like wild salmon, if you're not, you can do quinoa, you can do lentils, tempeh. I love hemp seeds for both protein and healthy fats and beauty minerals. So you find the protein sources that fit best with your diet, but know that they are building blocks and that you should try to get them at every meal. And if you can even sneak them in when you have a snack, that will help with your blood sugar, and that will give you more of those great resources. We do tend to need more as we age too. Leafy greens are another one. So this gets its own category. They're just so loaded with benefits. They have wonderful prebiotic fiber that feeds the good bacteria in your gut. They're kind of like candy to your probiotic bacteria. They support detoxification, and they vary in every season. So in the spring, you can choose your spinach and dandelion. You can get, kale and collards as you get into the fall season. Change them up. They all have different benefits, but they are loaded with skin benefits. And there's something that I encourage my clients to try to eat 3 times a day. I know it's a big goal, but if you can include them maybe in the morning in a smoothie, at lunch in a salad. Maybe you puree them into a soup at dinner. Find different ways to get them in and to know that they are just like, if there were a beauty superfood, greens would be it. High antioxidant food. So this one, there's just a ton under this umbrella, but basically, as I mentioned before with colorful, each of those colors, each of those antioxidants has a different benefit for your skin and body. And in Eat Pretty, I break down vitamins and phytochemicals in a chart that basically tells you what each one does, where you can find each one. So you can kind of, if you get into the science of it, can look and get a little more specific about the benefits in the different foods that you're eating. And I find that really, again, helps to reframe our relationship with food, is to celebrate at each meal. Like, oh, I'm having, I'm having these bell peppers today. They're loaded with vitamin C. I'm having cranberries tomorrow. They're amazing for anthocyanins. Like, just linking those benefits together in your mind, I think helps you to shift that food relationship, to celebrate these foods. And I really believe that trickles down to what happens in your body as you receive these foods as well. Fermented foods definitely need an important mention here. They're supportive to the microbiome. So many different cultures around the world have their own version of fermented foods. So there may be something that you have, passed down in your family and your lineage that maybe you can bring back, something that maybe has fallen out of favor. In my family, we do our own fermented sauerkraut. But I've also tried things like kimchi, miso. There are probiotic foods. Be careful with probiotic drinks like kombucha that have a little bit more sugar. They can tend to support yeast overgrowth, which is hard, especially if you have a little bit of candida in your body. That can be sort of complicated. So I do just caution my clients, just don't go crazy on kombucha. Every now and then it's great, but really lean into things like the fermented veggies, fermented kraut, kimchi, miso. Those things are going to be really good for your microbiome. And definitely start slow and small, like one forkful, a quarter of a cup. You don't need to go crazy because you will feel the effects in your gut. You want to start small and you want to work up and kind of build and develop that microbiome slowly. And don't try to go crazy overnight because you will feel the effects and you'll probably won't do it again.
If for someone who has never eaten fermented food, for example, which one is the more gentle to start with before building up?
I think, I love a sauerkraut, like even just doing one forkful and then seeing how you feel after that. And then, for a couple of days doing one forkful and then maybe you increase it to two. I think sauerkraut is a taste that a lot of people aren't used to having in their diet. And when they start, sometimes they find that they like it and they almost start to crave it. So I think it's a taste that's absent from a lot of the food that we're used to eating. Yeah. It's very different, but it really pairs well with a lot of things. Like you'd be surprised even on, like a chili or a curry, that if you put some of that crunchy, tangy kraut, it's a great contrast. So if you're a foodie and you like to play around with textures and tastes, you probably love adding a little bit more of that to your meals each day.
And if you like to drink kombucha, like I'm a kombucha addict and I could see pregnant, I had to stop because it was making me sick.
Oh, really?
Are there any type of kombucha or brands that you recommend that are less sugary and that have less of those yeast that you want to avoid overgrowing?
So, well, you'll know, like if your gut is in good shape and you don't have an overgrowth of yeast, you're not going to get it. You're not going to see any ill effects. And I don't think that you should worry about it. But it's just, if fermented foods are a brand new thing for you, if you've never taken any probiotics, if this is totally new, I just don't want you to jump in with both feet and go crazy with kombucha, because then you can sort of feed the wrong part of your microbiome. So there's not necessarily one brand that's better than another. I think that more of like the homemade, small batch, local brands tend to be a little better with less sugar. But again, that's a generalization. So you may find something totally different, but don't just go for the sweet. It's so easy just to get the sweet bottled drink that's right there and you can grab it off the shelf. Go for the tangy and the more complex, the umami flavors of miso, the spiciness of kimchi, and challenge your palate a little more there. And there's so many benefits. And one of the cool things, and you probably know this, Elsa, but in those fermented foods, the spectrum and the variety of probiotics are so much greater than you get even in the expensive supplements that you buy, when you're at Whole Foods or
Oh, I
wherever.
totally agree. That's why I personally don't take any supplements.
Right.
And I never felt the need for it. I know it's a big thing in the US to do
Mhm.
supplements, not so much in France, maybe that's why, but like you, I love finding my supplement in my everyday food. And I feel like my glass of kombucha or my kimchi is kind of my way to introduce good bacteria or
Absolutely.
microorganism to my stomach. And we have Anna in the chat. She's also making kombucha at home. She's saying,
I love that. That's great. And you can really control what goes into it because you're making it at home. And it's so cool to know the process.
And Jordana has a good comment. She says she always check if the kombucha she's buying has added sugar. That's a good tip because I never thought about it. I never thought that there would be added sugar in kombucha. And she said that GT Living Kombucha doesn't have added sugar. Thanks for the tip, Jordana.
That's great to know.
Yes.
Very, very smart as a shopper. It's true. So many times I think companies think we all have such a high tolerance for sweets that they have to load up on the sugar. But you can kind of you can show them as a shopper, like, I can handle a little bit of tart or a little bit of tang or a little bitterness. Like, God forbid we have bitter foods. Those are so good for our digestion. So not going for the extreme sweetness is actually really good for your gut too.
Yeah.
And then the last category are the collagen-rich foods. So this is going to be dependent on your diet as well, whether you choose something like a collagen peptide or you choose some of the cofactors of collagen. But collagen can be healing to the gut. As you age, it provides wonderful moisture and building blocks to your skin and your hair. I find it really supportive of hair growth. You can eat things like collagen peptides or bone broth, or if you're plant-based, there's a mix of foods here, like hemp protein, sea vegetables, leafy greens, really high vitamin C foods. Those are all going to help with the cofactors of your body building its own collagen. So cool weather beauty. We wanted to just do a quick moment on celebrating where we are in fall, transitioning to winter. These cooler, darker months represent the most yin time of year. And you've heard of yin yang and how you kind of, balance everything out. And these yin months they're cooler, they're darker, have more feminine, quiet energy. It's all about turning inward to deeply recharge, to nourish your body. And when you do that well in the darker months, when spring arrives, I find that it's so much easier to keep your body in balance in the hot weather when you've had that recharge in the darker months. So some of the common concerns this season are dryness. Our cell turnover starts to slow, so you might find that you don't have that great glow that you had in July and August. You might find that you have to exfoliate a little more with something gentle. I love like raw honey once a week as a nice gentle exfoliant. You might find that you have more redness or sensitivity. And, with all the extra sweets, maybe alcohol at holiday parties, the extremes of temperatures, we see more inflammation for sure in our skin at this time of year. And along with that comes breakouts, maybe some lingering damage from spending a lot of time in the sun in the summer. So there's lots you can do with those fall beauty foods to repair and to support being in balance this season.
That's so interesting that you're saying that, because I was reading how, researching how much winter is bad on your skin barrier with the dry weather, the wind, and the cold temperature that really attack directly your skin. And as you said, your skin can be red if you have more like a fair complexion or just feel like more irritated, tight. You need to extra moisture, and we recommend to also clean much less or be very gentle when you clean, and even avoid exfoliating in winter time.
Yeah.
But I never thought about the food aspect of it, because it's a holiday.
Yes.
You have, now a bit less with the pandemic, but still, you do those parties, you drink more like alcohol or sugar-based drink, you eat all those cookies, chocolate.
Yeah,
heavy
all
food,
of that kind of factors in. It's sort of part of that perfect storm and why we see a lot of inflammation and sensitivity in the winter for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So things you can do to kind of keep your body in balance nutritionally this season. I love kind of swapping over to a warm breakfast. So it helps to support your digestion, that complete part of your digestion. Remember, it's not just what you're putting in your body, but the other half is how you're breaking it down and receiving it. So warm foods are going to help spice up your foods. Even having something savory like leftovers in the morning or warm soup can be a great alternative. Prioritizing hydration. So when you're not hot and sweating all day, you kind of forget that you're thirsty a lot of times. And I've been guilty of this past week too. It's like, it's cool here and I'm forgetting to drink as much water as I have been. So prioritizing the day, prioritizing hydration. I love starting with some warm lemon water. And when it gets to be real cold, I'll add some fresh ginger, just the fresh root. I freeze and scrub my ginger and turmeric roots, take them right out of the freezer and then microplane them right into my warm lemon water in the morning. And you can strain it if you don't like the little pieces, but I just, drink it down. It's so warming, so anti-inflammatory. It's just a great way to start your day with hydration and some of those great beauty nutrients. You can also drink hot or warm water or herbal teas throughout the day, and that's so good for hydration in the cold weather. Eating some bigger meals in the morning and then some smaller meals in the evening, because we are wanting to support that restful sleep and the recharging. Not eating too late this season can be really helpful to the body. We're entering that season of recharging. Ample good fats, more of those grounding foods, nourishing soups, broths, grains and beans, and then watching your sugar. So obviously enjoy what you love, but it helps to remember that sugar does set off that kind of inflammatory cascade that you will probably see the difference in your skin. And sometimes it is worth it to just enjoy those desserts that you love. But if you are trying to, maybe you have a skin issue that's causing you stress and you're working on balancing that out, knowing that sweets can contribute to that inflammation is important. And I have more top fall foods for body and skin here, which I detail in the fall chapter of Eat Pretty, but some of my favorites are even things like cacao, which has been shown to support skin moisture, to reduce skin redness in the winter months. And it's just so interesting how we transition to these foods at this time of the year, and so many of them target the exact concerns that we have for this season. It's really kind of beautiful when you think about it. So if you're interested in some inspiration, you can hold your phone up to this QR code for some healthy holiday recipes. I have a lot of the favorite ones that I cook every year that you can put on your holiday table, and just a little inspiration so you know kind of how to use these foods in what you're eating. So the next core item, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Clearly I could talk about this all day, Elsa. The next core item is your blood sugar stability. And this is one that really came to me later on, because I didn't realize the importance of just watching your glycemic response and how closely that impacts what happens in your skin. So I call it an Eat Pretty plate. You can call it whatever you want. You want to have more than half of your plate filled with those abundant, colorful fruits and veggies that become your plant fiber. They're your antioxidants. Fill it with whatever is fresh in season, as we talked about earlier. But you also want to make sure that you have a source of healthy fats and a source of a good quality protein. I have clean protein, but just something that's high quality, that's going to be the best for your body. Remember that this is going to become you, and then molecule by molecule is becoming your body. So the fats are going to help you absorb a lot of the fat soluble nutrients that are in a lot of those colorful fruits and vegetables on your plate. They're going to help, again, as the building block of your hormones. They help you to burn slowly and give you energy that is going to be slow and stable over the course of several hours. The same with your proteins. They digest more slowly and give you sustained energy. And the alternative to this is maybe we have what we typically eat in the US and America for breakfast, which is something that's very carb heavy, like a cereal or a bagel or toast, or a croissant or a muffin, and we get a blood sugar spike, and then we get a crash an hour or two later. And once we crash, we need something to pick up our energy again. So we reach for something mid-morning, maybe that has a little caffeine or sugar. And so then we're up again, and then we're crashing again later at lunchtime, and then we spike up again. And all day long, we're on this roller coaster of blood sugar. And that is a stressful state to your body. Your body is pumping out cortisol in addition to the insulin that it's releasing in order to counter these peaks and valleys in your blood sugar. And when you have that sustained cortisol for a long period of time, your body starts to rob building blocks from the other hormones that it should be producing. So it's going to steal building blocks from your progesterone and your estrogen, it's something called the pregnenolone steal, when it steals those progesterone building blocks. And you find that over time, this trickles down to hormonal imbalance that really impacts your skin. And you find maybe you're breaking out at certain points in your cycle. Maybe you're having issues with your regularity of your cycle, or your period, or your fertility. And blood sugar can be one of the big foundational elements of why this is happening. It's something that seems so simple, and that we should all, I feel like, learn when we're teenagers about how to kind of put together this sort of meal, but it's not taught to us. And it's so important for your skin health.
Jolene, we have a very interesting, two interesting questions. One from Alexa, who's asking, do you know if your blood sugar rise as much when you eat like whole wheat toast, for example, versus, for example, a bagel?
So they're going to be similar, but what's important to know about blood sugar is that it's all, it's the context in which you're eating. So the next slide is all about the glycemic index of food. So if you look up the glycemic index of bread or a bagel, it's going to say it's super, super high, right? But hopefully, or maybe when we're eating those foods, we're pairing it with something like protein and fat and fiber that will lower the glycemic response tremendously. So if you're just eating a piece of toast, you're going to spike and you're going to crash. But say you have on that toast some amazing avocado, you have a hard-boiled egg with it, maybe you've got nut butter, that's going to lower your spike dramatically. So maybe you only get a tiny spike. So it's all about context. And so glycemic index is a really useful tool, but it is imperfect because it's measuring what the result is of eating one food by itself, but we don't really usually do that. Sometimes we do it with something like fruit, like maybe we eat an apple or grapes. And so you'll see, you might get a big spike from a piece of fruit, but if you pair it with a little nut butter, again, a hard-boiled egg, some source of fat or protein, you get a much smaller glycemic spike. And you can totally change the way your body is kind of receiving that food by how you're pairing it.
I used to be hypoglycemic and I would pass out, during the day. And the doctor told me, like, for example, in the morning, if you eat bread, eat it with like cheese or something like that, and not with like marmalade or something sugary that gives
absolutely.
Yes, you said context is everything.
And talking about the wisdom of the French way of life, I think, pairing cheese with grapes or wine, like it really does totally change the way your body responds in terms of the blood sugar response to food. Whether or not you tolerate dairy is a different thing, but you could choose other healthy fats, or you could, whatever you want to choose for fat or protein, but it really changes the way your body receives food. And it is like a secret that unlocks so many benefits for your skin and for your hormones. So what happens if you're always spiking high on that blood sugar roller coaster, hormones, including testosterone and insulin, are going to be rising in your body, and that affects your sebaceous glands. And that can be pumping out oil, leading to clogged pores, leading to extra oily skin. You can see so many breakouts that are fueled by the hormonal imbalance or blood sugar imbalance. And it's such a simple thing to correct. It just takes, when you sit down to a meal, kind of try to check off all three of those areas and make sure, if you're eating something and there's no fat in there, grab a handful of nuts or a little avocado, or drizzle some olive oil on your food. Have those three groups together, and you really feel a difference in how satiated you are too. It's like some people never feel like they're full. They're always craving something else because they haven't had that complete kind of signal to their body that they're satiated, that they have all that they need. So it can really change your relationship with food, just feeling full and satisfied,
Yeah, and we have a very interesting question from Liliana. She's asking, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting, or doing, small meals through the day instead of like a very rich meal and then going down from that?
So I think there are two different things. Intermittent fasting is interesting. I think long fasts can be tricky for women hormonally, especially young women. We tend to have more energetic needs. We need to support our fertility. I think the best kind of fast is like a natural overnight fast that's about 12 hours. So say you eat dinner at 6 p.m., don't eat breakfast until after 6 a.m. the next day. And sometimes naturally, you might even extend that window. A lot of people get into the habit of eating dinner and then snacking late at night. And that, I think, is is not great for your metabolism, for your blood sugar, for your sleep, for how much your body wants to repair and secrete growth hormone, when you sleep. So if you can just do that kind of 12-hour fast and keep yourself there, I think that has amazing benefits. If you have weight loss goals, you can, work on extending that fast a little bit, but I think you might need to do it with someone who is an expert in something like intermittent fasting, because it doesn't work the same way for everyone, because we are all bio-individual. We have different hormone levels. It actually kind of backfires for some women, and they hold on to extra weight because their body's saying like, whoa, what's happening here? I'm not getting that steady fuel anymore. So I think just like that natural 12-hour-ish fast is a great practice. And any more than that, you would want to make sure you're working with an expert and just kind of listen to how your body is responding to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great questions. And then I have some extra information here on sugar and how it kind of contributes to breaking down collagen, connective tissue. Not great news for those of us who have sweet tooths, but it is an important thing to know, and that sugar also does kind of feed that unwanted bacteria in your gut, which we know, especially through Elsa, is so important to healthy skin. And I have a recipe here. This is like one of my favorite ways to snack, but you'll see here I've got the nut butter in here. I've got oats sweetened with dates. We've got hemp seeds, which are amazing for protein and healthy fat. So it's a nice little sweet, nourishing bite, but you've got all of the protein, the healthy fat, and the fiber. So you kind of want to make this the way you snack, to have those elements in things that you grab during snack time too.
Oh, and it's easy to do. I see you don't have to bake it or anything.
Oh, no, you just make it, roll it, keep it in the fridge. Like my son will come home from school and he'll eat them. They're good for anyone, but that kind of way of eating, just making sure that you have the fiber and the fats and the good protein when you snack, is a great way to keep your snacks as being supportive of your blood sugar as well. And then the last core that we want to talk about today is your gut health. So when we talk about your gut, it's your entire digestive system. Amazingly, our bacteria in our guts outnumber our cells 10 to 1. So they're a huge part of our body. And that microbiome breaks down your food. It assimilates those nutrients, synthesizes vitamins and neurotransmitters. It has a huge role in detox and elimination. And so you may be putting all these amazing foods in your body. You may be like a pro at blood sugar balance, but if you don't have this third element where you break down your food well, you are not able to unlock all of the benefits of your beauty foods. So what factors play into your unique microbiome? Your mom's. She's a big part of who you end up being, whether you were born vaginal or C-section. Your environment. So where do you live? Where have you traveled to recently? What do you do with your job? What are your hobbies? Are you outside a lot? All of this factors into your microbiome. Your emotions and your mindset, believe it or not, are really important in what happens in that management of stress, and that trickles down to your microbiome. And then your diet. So do you have lots of amazing plant fiber in your diet that's going to feed those good bacteria? Or do you have foods that are supporting some of the dysbiotic bacteria or feeding those unwanted bacteria? These all play into your microbiome. Some of the signs you might see here related to gut dysbiosis, beyond something like feeling bloated or having indigestion, a lot of these are beauty signs. So dry skin, breakouts, rashes. You might find frequent illness, anxiety, cravings, having circles under your eyes, allergies. All these can have a root cause in your gut. So it's such an important part of beauty nutrition to be supporting your gut health. The skin outside your body really mirrors what's happening on the skin inside of your body. So if you have inflammation, you're going to see inflammation on the surface of your skin as well. The microbiome inside is going to be reflecting on what's happening in the microbiome outside. So what's supportive of a healthier gut? We talked a little bit about probiotics and fermented foods already, looking for those live, active fermented foods in your refrigerated section of your store, nothing pasteurized. Fiber-rich foods are going to feed that good bacteria. These are called prebiotics. So some of the top prebiotics are mentioned here. Choosing whatever you can that's whole and unprocessed, having less sugar and less processed foods is going to be better for your microbiome. staying well hydrated. So if you can sip water 15 minutes before you eat, maybe while you're cooking or while you're ordering off a menu, this prehydrates your digestive tract and helps all those little cilia, the villi that line your intestines to be prepared to help break down and assimilate food. So stay hydrated, and definitely before you eat, 15 minutes before, have a little bit of water too.
Oh, that's a good tip. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's such an interesting one. And that one I learned through Ayurveda, and it's been so helpful to me to remember, rather than gulping down water with your meals, having a little bit ahead of time really helps your body prepare. This one is so helpful too. So that's the cephalic phase of digestion, is kind of you preparing for mealtime. So activating your senses. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you what's beautiful on your plate? What are you getting excited about eating and salivating? 30% of your pancreatic enzymes and 20% of your stomach acid is produced during that preparatory, getting excited cephalic phase of digestion. And so often we skip this, right? We're like doing something, we make the meal, we put it on the plate, we start eating, and we haven't even appreciated or kind of checked in with our body. So what you can do is, say a prayer or a mantra, take a few deep calming breaths, activate your senses, create a beautiful place to eat, maybe set the table in a way that helps you to relax. Don't have any stressful conversations over dinner. Don't talk about stressful things or watch the news at mealtime. Really get in the moment, and that kind of helps your body to be in a place where it can direct resources toward digestion. You can secrete enough stomach acid to break down your food. You can make sure that digestion happens thoroughly, and that's really important to getting the most from your beauty foods. And also things like exercise and lowering stress. We could do a whole other class on how those factor into your microbiome and your beauty, but suffice to say, they are very important too in supporting that microbial diversity and quantity of bacteria. And I had to throw in a recipe here that I love, that I make all the time. This is the purple ginger kraut from Eat Pretty Every Day. So easy to make. It's really only 3 ingredients: cabbage, salt, and ginger. And you can ferment it in your kitchen over the course of about 2 to 3 weeks. And it just pairs well with so many things. I love it. It's a staple in our fridge. And you can get brave and do your own fermenting. And especially if you like to cook at home, this is one little activity that I would recommend, is trying your own ferments. And finally, these are my books. The Eat Pretty series has a lot of more in-depth information that we talked about today on specific foods. And this is my website, jolenehart.com, where I have video classes. You can DM me, or you can send me a message through my website about health coaching if you want to have a little consult on maybe something that's going on with your skin or in your life. And find more content on Instagram. I'm always posting kind of in-depth videos on foods for different concerns, and I would love to hear from you. My email is there as well.
Thank you so much, Jolene. I love all those insights, and your Instagram is so resourceful. I see also on your website you have so many recipes, yes, including the cookie one and the purple kraut that looks so yummy. I said,
I love food, and I love celebrating food because it does so many amazing things for our beauty and our body. So thank you for joining me to celebrate that today and to highlight that.
No, you're welcome. And just to finish, just as you said, actually, for those who are interested in the microbiome, we launched a microbiome test that you actually wrote all the nutrition recommendation that we're doing today in the test. I'm just going to share my screen quickly.
Let me stop my share.
I hope we can still see it. Oh, I don't know if it's working. Can you see my screen? Sorry.
I can't see yours, no.
I don't think it's working. 1 second. And we have a special promotion also for the class attendee regarding our product and the microbiome test.
That's amazing. The microbiome kit is incredible, and it's so first of its kind. It's giving you so much insight about what's going on in your skin, and like you said, you also get nutritional recommendations that are tailored to your results.
Yes, and the way it works is that with a simple swab, you can discover all about the bacteria and fungi on your skin. And with Jolene, what we've done is that based on your skin profile, we build up recommendation on skincare ingredients, but also on food ingredients you can incorporate to your everyday regimen in order to support your skin function without necessarily having to think about skincare. And that was really the idea behind it. And it's super easy. You simply order your test online, you collect your sample on your forehead, and we have an amazing digital platform where a few weeks after you mail back your sample, you're able to access all your results with a lot of personalized recommendation beyond the microbiome. So Jolene, that class was fantastic. It's part of a series we are doing around Beyond the Bottle to try to educate how you can take care of your skin without having to think about beauty product necessarily. And tomorrow with Grace Park, like I love all the introduction you did on the microbiome. Dr. Grace Park is our microbiome lead. She's based in Korea, the country of fermented food. And she's going to be teaching about the skin microbiome and how to understand it better and how to also find product for your own skin microbiome. So it's going to be very interesting. You can sign up on Eventbrite, and I will be leading a class on minimalist and how to actually cut off on the product and ingredients you're using every day to use less and less product. And if you're interested to try our product or the skin test, you can use the code MERCI25 to get an exclusive 25% off on our product line and also on the skin microbiome test if you're interested to do it. Unfortunately, at this time, we only ship in the US, but stay tuned because we are trying to expand our geography. So Jolene, thank you so much for your time. It was so insightful. And I highly recommend you to read the book from Jolene, whether it's about nutrition or mindfulness. You provide so many recommendations and guidance based on your skin profile. And that's why I really loved how you've done all your research and you've been communicating about it, because it's very, it's a lot of content, but it's very easy to understand and easy to apply in our everyday life. So
I'm glad. It's been a personal journey for me, and it's been such a pleasure to share this with women. It's like a class I feel like we all should have had when we were 18 maybe, but it's so empowering, and I think it makes such a big difference in your skin, along with that minimalist approach, which has inspired me so much in the last year.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much. And no, Cecilia, sorry, it's a slide we haven't updated, but it's working right now. It said November 4th, but it will be until tomorrow night.
Cool.
Thank you so much.